everyone, and welcome to my channel. So if you're new here, my name is Julianne, and in this video I'm doing my part 2 of my crocheted headphone covers tutorial. So in my first video I showed you how to make the base of the headphone covers, and now I'm going to show you how to make the strawberry and the cherry. So if you haven't watched part 1, then make sure to go to my channel and find that video. Otherwise, let's keep going. We're going to make the strawberry first. So we're going to start off with the magic circle. So wrap your yarn around, make a bit of an X, go underneath, and then pull this yarn through like this. So now you have your magic circle. So let's first chain 2. And then inside the magic circle, we're going to make 12 double crochets. So I made 12 double crochets. I'm just going to pull the yarn and tighten. So we're going to do a slip stitch into the first double crochet. So we kind of skip the chain 2. Okay, now next row, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to half double crochet into the same hole that we made the slip stitch. So half double crochet. Now in the next stitch, we're going to do 4 double crochets inside the same stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochets. 1, 2. And then next stitch, another half double crochet. Now in the following stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets. 1, 2. So it's a single crochet increase. Now we're at the bottom, and we're going to do a half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. So now we're basically going to do the reverse on the other side. So we are going to do a single crochet increase. 1, 2. And then we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then a half double crochet increase in the next stitch. And then we're going to do 4 double crochets in the following stitch. And then in the final stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet. So now we're going to slip stitch into the first half double crochet that we had made. Okay, that's the end of the second row. Now let's move on to the third row. We're going to chain 1, make a single crochet in the same hole, and then 2 single crochets. So we did 1, 2. So 1 single crochet in the last 2 stitches. And now we're going to do a single crochet increase in the next 3 stitches. So 2 single crochets here, 2 single crochets in the next, and 2 single crochets in the third. Now we're going to do a single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're at the bottom, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet and a half double crochet in the next stitch. So a single crochet and then half double crochet. And then the next one, do a half double and then single. Half double and single. So it's like the reverse. That kind of makes like the little corner on the bottom. And next we are gonna do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and we're gonna do 3 single crochet increases. now in the last 2 stitches, we're just going to do single crochets. Single crochet, single crochet. And there's our strawberry. So now let's cut off. We want to make a long tail so we can sew it on. Okay, and now we're gonna basically in the first stitch that we made, we wanna, it's easier with the needle probably. So we're gonna go from the back into the first stitch and then back like this. So it kind of makes like a little stitch like that. Now we're gonna make the stem, and to start out we are going to pull a loop. So we're gonna go into the stitch after the last single crochet increase, so right here. And for this we're going to work only in the front loops like this. So we're going to go here and then pull the yarn through. Oops. Pull it through. Okay, so first stitch is just a chain 1, and then in the next 2 stitches we're going to slip stitch only in the front loop. So slip stitch and another slip stitch. Oops. Okay, and then now we are going to do 4 chains. This is going to build the top stem. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to work slip stitches into the 3 chains. So we're going to skip the first one and go to the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, like that. Now in the next stitch we're going to do slip stitch again. So 1, and then next 2 as well. So 1, 2, 3. It's gonna look like this. Next row. Now we're gonna chain 4 because we're gonna make the little ruffles. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're gonna go into the front loop of the slip stitch that we made, the last one. So go to the front loop, and then we're gonna slip stitch, and we repeat that across into each of the slip stitches all the way to the end. So now we're gonna just cut off the end. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the cherry, and we'll weave in the ends and put the strawberry seeds later. So the cherry is a little bit more complicated because you're trying to combine 2 colors into like the same circle, I guess. So you have to kind of work in a spiral. So now we're gonna make this cherry, and this is a little bit more complicated because it requires 2 colors working in a swirl. So I'll try to go over this as slowly as possible so it's not too confusing. First, let's start off with red. So let's make our magic circle, and I like to use my thinner hook. So the smallest one, which is 2.25 millimeters. So we're making our magic circle. And then let's chain 1. Chain 1. And then 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then a double crochet. So these are the 3 stitches you're going to make. And you don't want to close the circle all the way because we're going to need this circle. So now just leave a little loop, and then we're going to switch to pink. So this is why it's complicated, because we're using 2 colors in the same row technically. Okay, so now in this hole we are going to want to pull a loop of the pink. So you first insert your hook inside the hole and take your yarn and then pull it through like this. It's almost like a little loop. And here you kind of have to hold the yarn so it doesn't fall apart. And then you want to make a chain with that. Oops. Okay, make a chain. And then you are going to do the same thing that you did in the red. So you're going to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, and then a double crochet. Okay, and then now if the 2 ends are kind of separated, you want to put them together like this so that they're next to each other. And then we're going to take the original tail and we're going to pull it so it kind of like tightens everything like this. All right, so now here you have to make sure you're using the right pieces of yarn and not get too confused. So let's just continue with the pink yarn, okay? Now we've kind of made a little, it's like connected now. So we are going to use the pink yarn and we're going to continue into the first single crochet that we made with the red yarn in the beginning. So in the first single crochet stitch, we're going to make 2 double crochets. So make sure you're inserting into the right stitch. For me, it's this one. Make us 2 double crochets. 1, 2. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do a double crochet and a half double crochet. So double crochet and a half double crochet. And then in the third stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet and a single crochet. A half double crochet and a single crochet. All right, so now you can see there's not really any more stitches you can go into, and that's where you kind of leave a loop, and then we go on with the red yarn. So now we're gonna start in the single crochet of the pink one. So we're gonna do 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets. To do a double crochet and a half double crochet in the next stitch. So double crochet and half double crochet. All right, and then the next one we're doing a half double crochet and a single crochet. Okay, now we're even on both sides, and then we're gonna continue. So what we are gonna do is that we're gonna do a single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 slip stitches. So 1 and then 2. And we're going to do the same thing on the pink. So we're going to do a single crochet and then 2 slip stitches. 1 and 2. So there you have it. This is one of the cherries. And now we're gonna make the other side, and I'll meet you back here. These are our 2 cherries. Now we'll move on to the stem for the cherries. gonna start off by making a loop like this, and we'll use our 3mm hook again. Now we're just gonna chain 14. Okay, now we chain 14 and we're gonna make our first sleeve. So we're gonna skip the first chain and into the second one, do a single crochet, and then a half double crochet in the next one, a double crochet in the next one, and then a half double crochet, and a single crochet. So we just making the shape of the leaf. And now we are going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then do the same thing for the second leaf. So single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. And then now we are going to do like a slip stitch, but we're going to do it in so in the first leaf we made a single crochet at the end, right? So we're going to use the other side of the chain and do a slip stitch like this. And then we're going to do 7 chains, or 7 chains like this. So this is our leaf, and then we'll cut off the ends again. Now we have all our pieces. I'm just going to remove these headphones these covers from the headphones so that I can sew them on. And if you missed it from the previous video, you have to take like a needle or a SIM card remover to remove the headphone pieces from the band, and then take off these covers. All right, so make sure that it's the right side up. So this is the top and this is the top, because I've sewn a whole cherry and then it just it was wrong, so I had to redo it. So make sure you don't make that mistake. So before we do that, let's start off by sewing on the strawberry seeds so that they look like this. For this, just take some white yarn, about 2 feet, I'd say. I just like to do that to be safe, but I think even 1 foot or 3 centimeters should be enough, for sure. And then take your darning needle and just start going in and out randomly. There isn't really a particular rule for this, but actually before I do that, I'm just gonna cut off some ends that we don't need. So we're gonna keep this red one, and for the green one, you want to bring them both to the back. So I just cut off the ends a little bit, but we'll leave this tail. And let's just weave, just make some little strawberry seeds. So we finished putting the seeds, and yeah, as expected, I didn't need that much white yarn, so I'd say 1 foot is fine. And just kind of tie it in the back, and then cut off the ends. All right. Now let's get started with actually sewing on it onto the covers. So strawberry is easier, so let's start with that. I personally I don't like to use all of the threads, so I'll use maybe like 2 threads, and the rest I'll just cut off and weave it in. And this just makes it look cleaner overall. So let me just hide these threads into the back a little bit. And this will all be covered anyways. All right, so take your darning needle, and then this is very easy. You just need to make sure it's centered. So I'd say this is quite centered, and you can just play it like by eye or play it by ear. And then you just essentially just weave in back and forth, like you're just sewing it on essentially. And you will see it in the back, but that's okay. That's why another reason why I like to use a thinner thread so that it's not as visible. So I finished, and now I'm just gonna tie it up and weave in the ends. Okay, so that is the strawberry. Next, we're gonna move on to the cherry, which is, I would say, quite a bit more complicated. It just takes a longer time. We're gonna start with kind of placing it on the cover so you kind of see what the center placement will be. So I'd say that looks pretty good. Okay, so first I'm gonna start with the leaf. So I'm gonna take another green yarn, and first I'm gonna attach it in the middle here. So I'm just gonna go into the center and then just weave it back in. And then essentially there's no perfect way. You're just doing it until it feels secure and centered for you. Like this. And if you want, you can sew these 2 parts too. I like to just leave it up a little bit. I think it looks pretty cute. And then we'll just cut off these ends as well. And just kind of tie it up. For these 2 ends, we're just gonna put them in the behind. So I like to just put them through these holes. It's just a bit easier. It doesn't really matter because it's gonna be covered up anyways. All right. And I'm gonna just kind of tie it in the back. We can like start cutting off the green ends as well, since we don't need them anymore. All right, so now we're gonna add these cherries. And similar to the strawberry, I don't like to use all the threads, so I'll just take 2 from each side. And for the rest of them, I'll just tie them into the center and then cut them off. So then we're just gonna sew the cherries on and slightly cover the green stem so you don't see the edge where it started, like this. So yeah, just go ahead. Use the red thread for the red side and the pink thread for the pink side. right, so we finished sewing in the cherry and the strawberry. So let's put them on. So here we already took off our headphone covers, so we can just slip them on, adjust it so that the holes match. Alright, let's get rid of these little scraps. Alright. So here are the completed headphone covers. They're super cute, they protect your headphones, and they're a great handmade gift. And yeah, if you would like to see the written pattern, you can head to my Etsy shop. And if you'd like to purchase your own or in a different design, you can visit my Etsy shop as well, or my website. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and see you next time. Bye!